Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Lucky Life podcast, where we create our own luck and design the life of our dreams. I'm your host, Melissa Merck. Let's dive right into the episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. Today's topic is going to be alcohol, and I wanted to talk about this because my feelings on the subject have really changed over the past few years, and especially in the last two, I've just really lost interest in drinking, and yet it's been really hard to remove from my life. And so I kind of wanted to talk about that because I know I'm not the only one that has these thoughts. Even within my friend circle, I have some friends that are kind of feeling the same way, and I have a lot of notes on this, so hopefully we're not jumping around too much. I'll try to streamline my thoughts a bit. Before we really jump in, I did want to mention I'm in no way saying that you should or should not drink. I think it's a very personal decision. I kind of just wanted to talk about my own personal experience with it because I think some people will be able to relate. So, going back in time a little bit, I started drinking in high school. I think I was 16 or 17. I'm pretty sure my first drink, I was at a friend's house and her parents had given us a cooler. I want to say it was a spiked lemonade, and we just had one drink, hung out outside, nothing crazy happened. But that was the friend that I started drinking with, and we would go to house parties. When we turned 19, it turned into country bars, and then at 21, it was Vegas clubs, Miami, more international travel partying. Vancouver does not really have a nightlife, so I did not get into the club scene in Vancouver. There were two country bars though that were so fun back in the day. Neither of them exist anymore. There were a lot of good times, but there were also a lot of nights where we just drank way too much. There was definitely some blacking out, hangovers, throwing up. I had this one friend and we would split a 40-pounder of vodka for the night. I need to look up how much alcohol this is. I think this is a Canadian term. Okay, so a 40-pounder is essentially 40 ounces. Sometimes it was a 2.6, sometimes it was a 40-pounder. That was definitely not normal drinking behavior. However, it was common. When I would go to house parties, essentially everyone was drinking heavily, and in my friend groups we would basically take turns, and this was not a spoken thing, it was something that just happened. But if you noticed that some of your friends were getting sloppy, you would kind of have to pull back and be the responsible one. There was always one person in the group that would kind of look out for everyone, make sure you get home, all of that. So yeah, we would kind of take turns with who was getting wasted. And I feel like this is a pretty common high school experience. If you were someone who got into partying, for me, alcohol has always been a social thing. The goal has always been to go out, have fun with my friends, socialize, meet new people. I think this is especially true for anyone who identifies as an introvert. I'm definitely an introvert, so when I go out, unless I'm really familiar with people, it takes a lot of energy for me to get in the headspace or have the energy to go out of my way to communicate with people that I don't know very well. Maybe that's a skill that I need to exercise more and just learn and do it sober, and then I'll get better at it. But it definitely is more draining on my energy, and I think for introverts in general, that's probably relatable. Drinking is also often a nighttime activity, and if you're not drinking, I just don't know how you stay awake. Some people start their nights at 11 and go till like 4 or 5 a.m. I need to know your secrets, unless maybe we do know the secrets. Anyways, I basically did sober November. I ended up drinking one night at the end of November because my friend Steven and I went to Scottsdale, and we decided we just wanted to go out and explore one night. So we ended up having a few drinks at a bar. But the next day we both woke up and we just didn't feel great. And we both agreed like the drinks just were not worth it. And I think that is a bit of an age thing. I think the hangovers just hit you a lot harder when you get older, because I think it's probably your liver is struggling, honestly. Alcohol is just so heavily ingrained in our society and in our social culture, and it's a full-on activity. That is the whole reason why it's been hard to cut out of my life, because I would just be cutting out a huge chunk of my social life, and my social life is already not bumping, okay? That just gets me to thinking as to why. Like, why can I just not go out and do the same things sober? And my answer is, I wouldn't enjoy it. And then that just gets me I was like spiraling in thoughts about this the other day. Like, why do we need alcohol to make these things enjoyable? Or are we just doing the wrong things in the first place? If you are one of those people that can go out and go to a bar and just hang out with people who are drinking, but you stay sober, props to you. I think that is such a skill. I have tried that, and just in my personal experience, I can hang out for the first hour, maybe 2 hours. You grab a mocktail, you grab a sparkling water, a coffee, you hang out. But as the night progresses, people that are drinking, the energy just changes, and there's just this disconnect. You're just not on the same level. And for me, I almost feel like I'm being a downer or I'm being boring, and sometimes it's just better to remove myself from the situation instead of trying to make it fun. But again, if you're someone that can go out and have a good time, go for it. I think that's just something that's really difficult for me. It's not an enjoyable experience to be in that environment when I'm not on the same level as everybody else. Like I said, I haven't really been drinking. I haven't been going out for the past couple months. Your social life just ends up being quieter. And I do really enjoy spending time by myself. So it's not the hardest thing, but I know that a social life is important. And so I think you just have to put more effort into finding times to hang out with friends in other situations. And another interesting thing that happens when you stop drinking is you realize the friends that you don't really have anything in common with. I think that a lot of times you end up having these party friends who are fun, you like to be around them, but if you're not drinking, you don't really have much to talk about. If you have genuine friendships that you want to keep and it's a mutual feeling, you're going to find ways to hang out in different places, different environments. I think you just have to put a little bit more effort into hanging out. You can kind of just get cut out of a loop when you're not going out, and people will make plans when they're out. It's like group chats. If you have a group chat with a certain group of friends, you tend to make plans in that group and it just keeps going, and that ends up being your friend group. But if someone isn't added into the group chat, you just miss out on the invites. But another thing that's really interesting about drinking is that it's almost a glorified thing. I think especially when you're younger, like I know when I first got into it, it was kind of cool and it was super fun. It's really interesting to see the online presence of it, and I've even noticed this on my own. I'm going to take TikTok as an example. I'm not super active on TikTok, but I have had a handful of viral videos. All of my viral videos are either about dating or drinking. And for me, that's kind of sucked because I don't want to be a drinking and dating niche, but I know that's the content that performs well, so I still post it on occasion. But it's not super authentic to me. It's a very like one-off thing, but I think they do so well because they're so relatable. And Alex Earl is such a prime example. No hate towards her at all. I think she's a boss. But a lot of her content revolves around binge drinking, getting drunk. I remember I saw a video and she posted that she had like thrown up in her bed. And again, I think people love that because they're like, this is so relatable. And a ton of people go through that high school, college experience where you're partying and getting too drunk. And it's like, why is this the common thing? Why is this so relatable? And also, just to clarify, I wouldn't say that I'm sober. I haven't fully cut alcohol out of my life because I still really enjoy having a glass or two of wine, maybe a glass of champagne if we're celebrating something. Like I really do enjoy like 2 drinks with friends on occasion. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. And that's how I want my drinking habits to be in 2024. I still find that really enjoyable, and I can wake up the next day and feel totally fine. My whole reason for cutting back was for health reasons. I'm very health conscious, and I hate waking up, being hungover. My head hurts. I feel like I've killed brain cells. I feel like my stomach lining has just like been eroded. My heart beats faster. I feel like I killed my liver, and I just really get into my head about the health consequences. And truly, alcohol is so bad for you. It's literally poison. Like the fact that so many people drink on a daily basis. Also, I'm not judging, by the way, but it's just like, if you actually think about what it is, it's so wild that I don't know the exact stats, but I think it's somewhere around over 70 or 75% of people drink. And so like the majority of the population is voluntarily poisoning themselves. And so yeah, that was my whole thing. It's just like the health aspect of it. I want to have a clear mind. I want to have productive days. And I just think the negative aspects were outweighing the positives for me, and it didn't feel worth it. Another point I wanted to touch on though is for all of the single people out there, because deciding to quit drinking when you're single makes it even harder. When I was in a relationship, I definitely was not drinking as much, although I was drinking a lot of beer. We would go to breweries, or we would like crush a six pack at someone's cabin. Those were my drinking habits during that time. I wasn't going to clubs and doing shots or anything like that. And so I think it's a lot easier to not drink when you're in a relationship, although I guess your partner's drinking habits can really affect you if you're not on the same page. One of my top motivating factors for going out and drinking is to meet guys. If I think back, like my track record, I think every single guy I've gone on a date with, I either met them on a dating app or I met them out in a drinking setting. I'm just like trying to think of how I met people. My most recent ex, we kind of met on Instagram, sort of, but we met up in a drinking situation. It's such a big factor in socializing and dating. In one of the recent podcast episodes, I was talking about my goals for 2024, and my goals kind of conflict in a sense because I said I want to go on more dates. I want to make new girlfriends, and I also want to drink less. But by drinking less, it's harder to go out and meet new people and go on dates. And I know it's not impossible. Drinking is just a crutch. You don't need it to go out and do these things. One of the things that I'm struggling with right now is deciding what I'm going to do for New Year's, because I have a bunch of friends in different groups going out to parties. So there's multiple parties happening. There's options, but I know most people at these parties are going to be drinking, and because it's a New Year's party, it's for sure going past midnight. I'm kind of leaning towards staying in, to be honest, but this could be such a prime spot to meet new friends and potential love interests. I also have a lot of outfits that I want to wear. So I'm like, I want to dress up and I want to go out. I also don't live downtown either, so I'd have to make the drive out there, which it's not that far. I don't know. I'm really struggling with what to do. If you're in a similar spot to me, it's really hard to find the middle ground where you're still going out and socializing and you're not feeling like you're depriving yourself from life experiences and social activities, but you're not forcing yourself to do things that you don't want to do either. Like, I could also go and just have 2 drinks, but this is the thing. For me, 2 drinks is the sweet spot. I will have no problem with quitting. If I drink 3 drinks, 3 or 4, then I'm getting into the danger zone because things are starting to get fun and I'm like, okay, let's keep going. And then that's where the night takes a turn, the shots come out, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, so sometimes it's just easier to avoid the situations altogether. I also find like once you start drinking, people will buy you drinks, people will bring you shots, and if you don't drink it, they're like, why? And people start asking questions and like there's like pressure. If you feel like you're gonna cave and you won't be able to hold your ground, and you've decided that you don't want to be drunk, sometimes it's just easier to avoid it altogether. I'm still struggling to find the middle ground with that. If you guys have any tips, let me know. It's a hard thing to navigate, especially if you're in the market for making friends and dating. Honestly, when I think back to some of the times, especially when I traveled and like partied in Vegas, Ibiza, like the opportunities, the people that I've met, the things that we've done, the craziest experiences of my life. Some of the most successful people in life are sober and they don't go out and drink, and you can still network without alcohol involved. It's just harder. It is. You have to put more effort in. You have to be more intentional. I think a lot of people use alcohol as a mask or a crutch to help them do things that they wouldn't normally do. If you do want to quit drinking, but you're having a hard time with it, I think you really need to ask yourself why you're having a hard time with quitting. And again, for me, it's social, it's networking. I think it really comes down to me not feeling confident in my social abilities when I'm sober. And so I think I just need to work on conversating with strangers or putting more effort into reaching out to people that I want to spend time with, going on dates. I know a lot of people that will have like a couple drinks to kind of relax before a date, and it can help. Not saying that you shouldn't do it, but I think removing alcohol can help you uncover areas in your life that you need to improve on. I know it can go so much deeper than social situations. I know some people drink for depression. For some people, it's an addiction. I think it's the most common addiction. Number 1 addictive substance. Okay, sorry, I was just doing a little bit of digging on the internet. This website, it says number 1 is coffee, which honestly I could believe. I don't know where these facts are coming from. I don't know, but anyways, I know alcohol is up there, probably in the top 3. I don't want to give advice to people in those situations because I can't speak from personal experience to that degree. There is a book, though. I just finished reading Quit Like a Woman. It's a book by Holly Whitaker, and I've talked about this book a bit on my YouTube. I had really mixed feelings on it. I don't know what I was expecting. It just wasn't what I expected. I was skipping through a lot of areas, but the parts of it that I did read, I did like. But if you are someone that's sober curious, you're struggling with alcohol, this book could be of interest to you. The author of this book did struggle with addiction, and so she can speak more from that aspect. So if you're looking for books on the topic, that you might like that book. Again, it wasn't my favorite, but I still think it's worth a read. I really did like areas of it. I just found that I skipped through some parts. So where I'm at currently, I'm not cutting it out of my life completely because I do think it is enjoyable in small amounts on occasion, but my goal for 2024 is to remove binge drinking and getting drunk. Again, for health reasons, but also just for making good choices, I guess, and being a productive human. And I'm hoping that the new relationships that come into my life are based off of deeper connections, that I'll just have better judgment, I guess. I will pursue relationships with people that are more aligned to me, aligned to each other. If this is relatable to you, just know you're not alone. I'm still figuring it out. My thoughts on this could change. But anyways, that is my rant for today. I hope that this episode will be helpful to someone. Sometimes I feel like I'm just rambling and I don't really know if my words have a point, and I'm trying to be more intentional with my words. This episode will be going up before New Year's, but I am recording it on December 29th, so I have a decision to make pretty soon. Again, leaning towards staying in, but we'll see. We will see. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to today's episode. I will be back next week to talk some more. If you guys have any topic recommendations, send me a DM on Instagram. I'm also going to be having some guests on soon. I have a few people that I'm planning with. But yeah, it's just going to be me until I sort all of that out. I also need to figure out a recording setup and everything. But yeah, if you made it to the end, I really appreciate you guys and everyone who has supported the podcast so far. I'm signing out. Hope you guys all have an amazing week, and I will talk to you next time. Bye-bye.